Hello, my name is Melissa Strathman, and this is my ePortfolio comprehensive video. I'm excited to share with you the work that I have completed over the span of the last couple of years and the different courses I've took and the practicum activities that I have completed. But I wanted to start just with my leadership philosophy and be able to tell you just a little bit about myself as an administrator. So my background is in special education, and so I have strong beliefs that all students have the right to a free and appropriate public education, that they all deserve to have the opportunities to be educated with peers and have opportunities to help them be successful, both in an educational realm, but for lifelong skills as well. And I believe that with that philosophy comes the flexibility and recognition that learning might look different for students, that it won't be standardized across the group, but that it's important that we work to provide those equitable opportunities for all students as learners. So I would like to be able to share with you the activities that I use to target different standards. And so I've structured the choices I've made to be able to show the variety of types of activities across those standards, but then also the work completed elementary, secondary, and at a district level. So I will go to elementary first, and I'd like to talk to you about my activities for standard 1.2. This is my TAS and MTSS vision and planning activity. So USD 418 this school year has partnered with TASN to basically restructure our MTSS process. It was lacking a district leadership focus, and that's been evident in the decision making surrounding curriculum, interventions, supports for students with varying needs. So this has been some exciting work that we've done with TASN. This activity specifically included some pre-reading and then an on-site day with TASN that we talked about what basically is the MTSS process, what things do we need to be thinking about as a district. You can see how our DLT team is structured with district level administrators and all building principals a part of that group. We just had a lot of reflective conversations about really what does the structure entail for not just an MTSS system, but a decision-making vehicle for a district surrounding best practices for student learning. So we spent some time talking about just the structure and responsibilities and purpose of a district leadership team. Same would be true for building leadership, and then how that filters down to then collaborative teams. So we spent just a lot of really great reflective conversation about where we're at as a district, what components are maybe missing, and good next steps as we started that work off with TASN. So there was a lot of big picture visionary work that we completed during this day that really set the stage for the subsequent meetings that followed throughout this school year. So for standard 2, I wanted to show you a couple of different activities. So I will hop over to secondary, and I wanted to show an activity that was used to show standard 2.3. And that was a presentation that was created on emergency safety interventions surrounding just best practice for use of seclusion and restraint, using the guidelines provided by Kansas State Department of Education, and then just best practice in working with students with challenging behaviors. So this was a presentation that actually was provided to building staff at the beginning of the year to meet that annual certification requirement for KSDE. So I have shown, I have a link to the presentation that actually was used, and then an infographic that I have created and shared with all building principals so that when they find themselves in an emergency safety intervention, that is a quick tip sheet that will remind them the process we need to follow for notifying parents and the required documentation of that emergency safety intervention that also needs to occur. Another activity that aligned for standard 2 that I just wanted to show really quickly was the development of Zoom guidelines. And this has been a response from obviously the COVID-19 pandemic. So we had a lot of questions in our district between guidance given by KSDE special education and KSDE general education in the differences in use of Zoom with student activities. So to try to be more similar than different in how we were using that tool to connect with students, during this time we created just a Zoom use guidelines, just a quick reference for teachers to provide some guidance as we entered virtual learning time. So that came about from collaborative conversations between myself, the assistant superintendent, and then director of curriculum instruction. So standard 3, I would like to be able to show you a presentation that I created that was used in 3 different elementary buildings, all about managing challenging behaviors in the school setting. And so we have seen across USD 418 a rise with the number of students who present with challenging behaviors in an educational setting, and trying to provide just some good reflection for staff on maybe why we see student behaviors changing in the building levels, and then also what are some practical strategies that can greatly impact student behavior. So the topics that we covered in the presentations was just how, again, are the landscape of student needs changing across our district? What's the importance of building positive relationships with students? How do we individualize instructional practices? And then the importance of positive behavioral supports that we can provide building-wide, classroom-wide, and then individual as needed for students. So this was a presentation, again, that I shared with 3 different elementaries to help just provide some different tips and tricks and some different understanding around students with challenging behaviors. So that was for standard 3. Moving into standard 4, I'd like to show you my activity for e-walkthroughs. We have an e-walkthrough tool that is used across the district for assessment of instructional supports and strategies and makeup of classroom dynamics that we use. Administrators use technology to complete that e-walkthrough, leaving educators some feedback as they go through the rest of their day. Just give some feedback on what the administrators saw when they were in there. So I have shown a picture of what some of the key things that administrators are looking for in classrooms when they are on an e-walkthrough, and then I've also linked an actual e-walkthrough evaluation for a special education teacher. So I completed several e-walkthroughs with the assistant principal of the middle school as she's tasked with evaluating special education staff. And so we talked about which classrooms we were going to go into, talked about maybe previous e-walkthroughs and what she had noticed. Then we did the walkthrough and kind of calibrated together of what we saw and how we would mark the e-walkthrough document. And it was just great to have that administrative level conversation just to see what is a building leader looking for, how do they identify the different components on that e-walkthrough tool, and what type of feedback and guidance do they give to staff moving forward to be more reflective in their teaching, and also for some action steps moving forward to improve. For standard 5, I'd like to show you an activity I completed that was right here for the Community Mental Health Center McPherson Advisory Committee. So I have been able to be a part of our Community Mental Health Center's advisory committee here in McPherson. That is a group that meets 4 to 6 times per year, and it's a meeting that's facilitated by the CEO of Prairie View, which is the mental health agency located here in McPherson County. The group is made up of law enforcement, county commissioners, medical staff, mental health providers, education administration, community members, local pastoral alliance. So it is really an interesting and unique representation of the McPherson community. So we have a lot of discussions just about mental health needs in the community as a whole, and then how each entity might be helping to address those mental health concerns. So we talk about what are we seeing for trends in the school setting, what are supports we're able to offer to parents, and how do we help students navigate those challenging emotional and mental health needs in the school setting. Same type of conversation with law enforcement. How are they responding to young adults or adults in crisis, as well as medical staff. So it's a really great opportunity to see that community group as a whole, made up of a lot of different pieces to that puzzle, really work together and have some good collaborative conversations around a topic that's very important in our society today. So that's been an activity that helped me with Standard 5. For Standard 6, I would like to show you an activity that I've listed that occurred on 2 different dates. It is the law and logic trainings that are provided to building administrators across McPherson County. We have this training that occurs in the fall and then again in the spring. And so for each training, I solicit feedback from building principals on a number of topics to see kind of where is their comfort level right now with different special education law components, practices within McPherson County, protocols that we're following for maybe identification or placement of students in specialized programs. And we structure the fall training to be more of those nuts and bolts legal reminders of kind of what's going on. So I have included a link to that presentation that you will see. We talk about professional development. We talked about just staffing across the cooperative, what are our ratios of providers in classrooms, and we talk about evaluation of special education staff, who's on the building principals list, how we partner in those evaluations. Just really, this was a long presentation. I have them for 2.5 to 3 hours twice per year. So it's just, again, an opportunity. In the fall, we talk about those logistic practical law types of things they need to remember as a building leader, including IEPs, for example. And then in the spring, what we've done is taken a different approach that we pull actual case studies from McPherson County, and we talk about, for example, what's a current challenge in your building, and we talked about that as a group. And again, trying to reinforce some just best practices for special education students, for building leaders to be thinking about, such as PBS strategies, and we reviewed emergency safety interventions again. We use the MANT system in our cooperative, so we were able to talk a lot about just practical applications of what using a MANT would look like for a building principal in their building. So those were some activities I wanted to highlight for Standard 6. For Standard 7, I'd like to be able to talk to you about my involvement in the USD 418 Assistant Superintendent Selection process, which we just this Monday, February 20th, or April 20th, the board actually approved the hiring of the new assistant superintendent. So for this process, there was an interview panel of 7 of us that included the current assistant superintendent, myself, the director of finance and human resources, the director of maintenance, director of transportation and food service, 1 elementary and 1 secondary principal. And so I've included a link that just outlines the process that we followed, including just the schedule for the day and kind of the process for what that was going to look like, a sample of interview questions that we used to select that individual, and then just the communication that occurred for the actual hiring of the interview of the candidate. So what's really interesting about this activity is just that ability to not only vet candidates. We had 15 applicants, so we whittled that down to 5 that we wanted to interview, but that process of reviewing applicant materials and just seeing who might be the best fit on paper that you want to bring in for a personal interview. But then that interview process, having a panel of 7 people and you all have maybe different ideas of what you would like that candidate to demonstrate. And so having those collaborative conversations as a diverse administrative group to reach a consensus on who the candidate should be was just a very powerful process. The last thing I'll show you very quickly is just I've had the involvement to be in the Kelly Mentoring Program, which has been by far the best professional development I've received as an administrator, I believe, just in helping with those coaching skills and feedback that really helped me grow as a professional, but for me also to grow other individuals. So I could talk a lot about my last activities, but I will go ahead and wrap it up there. And thank you for your time and your consideration in this process.